That's right, you guessed it. another another Ron Paul video. Shamelessly pandering. Um, well, I still see the Ron Paul people have not, they haven't let reality set in yet, and they haven't come to terms that John McCain has won the nomination. Everyone else crashed and burned, and Ron Paul never really got off the ground. Um, so what? How do you explain this phenomenon? Listen, I got some kind of kooky pictures here, which I thought was appropriate. Now, you guys keep saying this is a movement, but you know, a movement needs more than one leader. That is what we call a cult. You know, I hate to say this, but there's lots of cult-like aspects of this thing. That Ron Paul's the only hope. Ron Paul or bust. Ron Paul or the whole country is going down. Oh, here's that baby. I thought that was kind of appropriate too. So I used this. The L. Ron Paul Hubbard. Sorry about that. I thought that was kind of clever. Yeah, you guys don't have a movement. You got a little cult going. You don't have a movement. And Ron Paul is, as far as I can tell, Ron Paul likes to talk. He likes to talk, and you know he is an entertaining talker. He's got lots of little interesting trivia points that he brings out, and they're carefully constructed around his philosophy, which is government can't do anything right, and occasionally the philosophy checks out with the facts, but in the case of the war. But the problem, war in Iraq, but the problem is, of course, he's in the wrong political party, as I've pointed out in other numerous times. The Republican Party, and I'll say it again for those Ron Paul people, and for Ron Paul himself, who I guess hasn't figured it out. The Republicans like the war. They support the war. Some of them even want another war. They want a war with Iran. So when you guys get that through your thick heads, and maybe you won't ever figure that out, Ron Paul should leave the Republican Party. If he had any courage, had any integrity, he would say, this party is a bunch of warmongering wackos. They went ahead with this war without thinking, with all kinds of fantasies, and they didn't really care how many people they killed and how much money was spent. So I recommend that Ron Paul leave the Republican Party, and I'm also asking that Ron Paul at least put his name on the impeachment bill for Cheney. Cheney deserves to be impeached. So does Bush. Cheney's the evil force, and I think Cheney's probably one of the worst vice presidents we've ever had in history. And he's the one that's calling the shots. And George Bush isn't smart enough to call the shots. And it's all Dick Cheney. And the other talking point I've got to point out for you Ron Paul people, yet again, is that it's the Project for a New American Century and the neocons. The neoconservatives are Republicans. They're not Democrats. The neoconservatives are Republicans. And most of them, almost all of them, came right out of the Project for a New American Century and were pushing for war. They tried to get Clinton to go to war in 1998 with Iraq, and Clinton said, "No, I don't think so. I'll pass on that one." And they wrote a letter to Clinton saying you should take military action, or at least think about taking action. So Rumsfeld and Cheney and Wolfowitz, can you get this in your head? Rumsfeld, Cheney, Wolfowitz, Republicans, they came into office wanting to go to war. This war is on the Republicans. It's not on the Democrats. You know, the Democrats are weak and they caved. This war, and it's not on the CFR, the Council. This war is on Republicans, and it's on the Project for a New American Century, and it's on the neoconservatives and George Bush, Dick Cheney, Don Rumsfeld, and Wolfowitz, and Condi Rice. Powell was never in on it. Powell was not in on it. I think Powell opposed it from the beginning. I think he probably thought it was wacko. Um, but yeah, can you guys figure that out? And listen, if you want to become something other than a cult, you're gonna have to think about somebody other than Ron Paul. Maybe I don't know. You want my let me tell you. I got here a picture of Ross Perot. Actually, after Ross Perot disappeared from the scene, his Reform Party completely, utterly fell apart. There was no movement. So, if you guys want to be something other than a cult and you really want to be a movement, then you got to get more serious. You got to get more serious than just posting stuff on the internet. Yeah, you have to might chip in money. You might have to go to a meeting or two. You might have to write, I don't know, write letters to editors. Build a base. But hey, that's what that's our movement is a little bit takes more effort. Takes a little bit more effort, and you guys don't have it yet. All right, bye.